Hi, and welcome back finally to another episode of DD Geopolitics live stream. I'm your host, Sarah, here with Chris. Uh, the week before Christmas, Christmas in the West, not Christmas in the East, and we've finally made it to the last night of Hanukkah. It's been more harrowing trying to get through Hanukkah safely than your trip to the Donbass. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the trip before? Well, first, this week, the guys were on a trip, so that's our excuse for missing the show on Wednesday. I think you almost died a few times. Yeah.
Yeah. And I wish we wanted to do the stream. We just didn't have any internet to do it. We were ready to go and it was not working and cooperating at all. So sorry about that to everyone. But as our wonderful Sarah rightfully pointed out, we were in the Donbass. We went to Donetsk. Groups of us went to Avdiivka, a couple other places. We went to Zaporozhye. And there we were on our way to a very important site when Ukrainian drones were launched at our position. And we were turned around immediately and basically locked in place as an assassination attempt against us was thankfully thwarted. So that was a big deal. And the Russian media said that we survived multiple attempts on our lives. So that's good. Finally made it to Mirodvorets and almost had a assassination attempt. So here we go.
Is there a reward if somebody kills you?
I'm not sure, but I mean, geez, I don't know. Can you quantify me? I don't know. Maybe they
is there a price?
A price on my head? I don't know. Maybe for them, According to the trolls online, my nickname, of course, is Boris the Vatnik. So I assume that maybe my reward's gonna be, I think, somewhere in the tens of thousands of dollars, maybe somewhere around there, maybe 100,000 plus.
I think you're kind of underestimating a little bit.
I don't want to overestimate too much, but in any case, it was wild. And then we crossed over. First time I ever crossed from the Kherson region, because we had to travel down there into Crimea. And we held some great meetings in Crimea, which we'll talk about in this first segment. But overall, apologies for missing our show, but it was an epic trip. We got a lot of great content coming out. We were able to see a lot of great things. And once again, Russian military is on the move. So just want to let everybody know the lines are moving.
They're moving really fast. So you guys know last night you may have been there. I hope you were there. I did a space on Dr. Zhang. Hopefully we'll have him on either this week or after the holidays. On Pax Judaica. This episode will obviously kind of tie into that on the less spiritual side. Our first segment is obviously going to be the guy's trip. And somebody already mentioned the Hanukkah candles were off the chain this year. That's part of it. So we'll talk about all of that. But I want to get into your trip to the Donbass. So tell us a little bit about it. You got to we finally got to meet Pushilin.
Yes.
What was that like? Is he on an Ozempic binge? What's going on? He has lost a tremendous amount of weight.
He's lost a lot of weight. He looked great. It was great. So first, I'll go into a little bit of background. So we crossed the border, went to Donetsk. I mean, I was at the Russophile Congress, and I came down and basically got no sleep. Went straight into the meeting with Pushilin on the day that I got there. I had like 10 minutes when I got to Donetsk to shower, change, and then we were off to the meeting with him. So it was quick. It was on the go. There was no mercy. And the meeting was fantastic. I mean, he basically laid it all out there for everybody. And this was probably one of the biggest foreign journalist delegations to go in a long while. Probably for years. We were told in Crimea that it hadn't happened since 2022. So it was great. And we just had an opportunity to basically say, look, what's happening, what's going on, what's the situation on the ground. First thing, Donetsk People's Republic is continuing to liberate its territory and is going to achieve the 100% like Lugansk. So there's no doubts about that. For those who don't know, Denis Pushilin took over the leadership in Donetsk People's Republic after the assassination of Zakharchenko. So that happened. Pushilin came in, also a fighter, also part of that movement to wrench Donetsk People's Republic away from the Ukraine Nazis and fascist regime, and to defend it. So he's a great man. As you rightfully point out, he was a little bit more heavy set. Now he's doing fantastic. He looked very healthy, but of course, it comes also with the territory. I mean, there's a lot of stress in that job, a lot of fighting. We heard multiple strikes while we were in Donetsk. So there's a constant barrage of either missiles, artillery, drones. Who knows what's going on and what's flying in? But in any case, there were drones above. Anti-aircraft was used as needed, and he basically opened up and said, I asked the question, which I thought was very important. Basically, a lot of internationals, both civil and military, have come to Donbass, have come specifically to Donetsk since 2014. What do you feel about them? And he was like, look, we can't thank the foreign friends enough. They've been pivotal. They've helped to disseminate that information. So I was very happy to hear that and very happy to be a part of that, especially with all the great work we had done, we've done since 2014 and continue to do. So that was great. We had some friends from other countries. First of all, our trip consisted of journalists from Serbia, Pakistan, Indonesia, a Russian who works for Telesur, so Venezuela, Nicaragua, Cuba. We had Brazil, we had Slovenia, we had myself, USA, and it was just great. It was a great group of people, fantastic mix, and overall we had an opportunity to basically ask any question we wanted. A lot of questions about what's going on in Donetsk now, and Pushilin was like, "Look, we're moving." And there's no stopping. Questions about infrastructure and investment, a lot of infrastructure and investment, a lot of development going on. A lot of buildings that had been hit or destroyed or ruined being rebuilt. There's, of course, some issues that are still outstanding, but once the special military operation achieves its goals, I have no doubt that those things will be solved. Of course, it's difficult to solve all the issues in the midst of an active war, so, and especially while you're under bombardment. So that was amazing. After that, we went and one of the group went to Avdiivka. We went to another location. We were able to meet young kids and to talk to them about their experiences, what had gone on, what they've experienced throughout the conflict, and especially since 2014. Some really harrowing stories. I got very emotional watching. We watched a documentary about, I would say, about 15, 20 minutes long about kids who've died in this particular village that we were at, and it was rough. It was rough. I mean, it was hard. It was hard to see that. It was quite difficult to meet some family members and things like that, people who'd been affected. We met one young man who has taken basically bits and pieces of ammunition and bomb fragments and drone fragments and created art with them. And, at first did it as kind of a project, but now is selling that art and using the proceeds for humanitarian aid and support. And it was great. It was great to see the creativity in the midst of such chaos and destruction and barbarity. And this is one way that these young kids are coping with living through these hostilities. From there, we went back. Eventually, we went down to Mariupol. The following day, we were able to go outside of Azovstal, made that, troll video that's now going pretty viral against all of the mercenaries that we know very well. And we were able to meet with other locals, able to see the reconstruction efforts, talk to people on the streets. And everybody, not one person, is upset about how things turned out. And everybody wants to stay with the Russian Federation. There's nobody that we met that is in any way thankful to Ukraine or anything. And you got to understand that Ukraine basically underdeveloped this area of Ukraine at the time. The Donbass region, Novorossiya, they didn't care. They didn't invest in it. Also because it was majority Russian speaking and had that culture. So they didn't care about it at all. People were very thankful for the investment and support that was done by the Russian Federation. You could see the new opera house kind of theater house that was in Mariupol completely restored and rebuilt, churches completely restored and rebuilt. I mean, overall, just fantastic work being done. From Mariupol, we went down into the Zaporozhye region, and that's where difficulties began, because now we're much closer to the front, an active front. And as we were traveling to one location, of course, the threat came, and we were escorted by the Russian Federation's military police and, basically protected. And finally, we were able to, when the threat had subsided to a greater extent, we were able to quickly go and cross the border to Crimea through Kherson. We did. And in Crimea, interestingly enough, we had meetings with both Aksyonov and Konstantinov, who are, one is the basically the prime minister of Crimea, the leader of Crimea. The other one is the chair of the Council of Ministers. And it was just fantastic meetings, fantastic to get to ask them questions about basically like Crimean Russian Spring and everything that transpired 2014, 2015. And basically they said, look, you can come and ask anyone on the street about this. You'll find a very small minority, if any, that support Ukraine. Everybody's very thankful to be back and part of Russia. We were able to go to the hero city of Sevastopol. We were also able to meet the Mufti of the Crimean Tatar community, which I think is very important, because Crimean Tatars are used as a wedge to basically say, oh, look, they're oppressed and everybody's oppressed and what's going on. And interestingly enough, I asked a couple questions, and so did Mario, our friend from Serbia. And it was very interesting to note that at the period of the sort of Crimean Russian Spring, the Crimean Tatar community was divided, and there was a lot of concern that they were going to be used as sort of a fifth column. So who ended up coming and intervening were the Chechens, and specifically Kadyrov, to basically say, look, we are all Muslims here. Stick with Russia. Stick with the Russian Federation. They'll take care of you. And in fact, an interesting story that I hadn't yet fully grasped, there's a brand new, beautiful mosque in Simferopol. Gorgeous. I mean, straight out of Istanbul. You could see it in Istanbul, probably. It's just a beautiful Ottoman era kind of mosque. Rebuilt, must have been some tens of millions of dollars, if not more. In any case, we asked the Mufti, because I was told that Turkey had given the money for this, that Erdogan had given the money to build this. He said no. He said the Crimean Tatar community had asked, and Erdogan had promised for many years to build them a mosque, but never did. After 2014, the community and the Mufti went to Putin and said, look, we need this. Putin said, don't worry, and built it. And so they were like, we're so thankful to the president for not only supporting us, building us a brand new major mosque that holds some over 3,000 people, building us community center, helping to invest in schools, helping to invest in our Crimean Tatar villages. So that was debunked. The fact that Crimean Tatars are oppressed and things like that. We talked to the Mufti, we talked to everybody. They're all the religious leaders. Everybody was like, absolutely not. There's nothing. The mosque is stunning. You'll see videos that are going to come out soon. From there, we also had meetings in Simferopol. Look at that. I mean, that is beautiful. We had meetings in Simferopol. As I said, talked to Aksyonov and Konstantinov. Just great. And then we had the great privilege to go to Yalta, which, for those of you history buffs, is where in February 1945, Stalin, Roosevelt, and Churchill met to finalize the peace that would come. And then secretly, Roosevelt and Stalin agreed on the Pacific, and Stalin agreed to open up a second front against Japan, which would happen a few months later. We went to the Levadia Palace, absolutely stunning and gorgeous. We're able to have an opportunity there. And there, right outside of Levadia Palace, there's a massive apartment building, and the top floor of that is where Zelensky had an apartment. So we were able to locate that. Locals told us about that. And I was able to make a fun clip about that and what Zelensky's up to there. From there, we went to Kerch. We went back to Simferopol, and then we went to Kerch. We were able to cross the Kerch Bridge, by the way, which is absolutely a marvelous architectural engineering, achievement of the Russian Federation and of the investment in Crimea. And we were able to go to the oldest active church in Russia. Now, for those who don't know, after 1453, those of you in the comments, 1453, when you think I see the history professors coming out at me, my students, 1453, what's 1453? You got it. The fall of Constantinople. And after Constantinople fell, there were 3 rump Byzantine states that survived. The first one was Mistras. And Mistras and that area of Greece is where my family comes from. In fact, my ancestors are mentioned in Byzantine documents. They helped founded some villages there. Anyway, it was the Despotate of Moria, and that was where one of the last capitals was. The second one was in Trabzon, Pontos, in northern Turkey. The third one was Theodoro, which is in Crimea. So Mistras fell, then Trabzon fell. So Theodoro in Crimea is not only the last place where Byzantium fell, it is actually the place of the end of the Roman Empire. Because once Theodoro fell and the last of the relatives of the Palaiologos dynasty were, killed and sold off into slavery, that was it. So 2,000 plus years of Roman history ended in Crimea. That was wild, to kind of think about and to be there. Anyway, in Kerch is the oldest church. It goes back to 7th, 8th century or so, Church of St. John the Baptist. And it's a beautiful Byzantine church that had been expanded over the years, reconstructed, also damaged, blah, blah, blah. But in any case, it was gorgeous to go in there. And that was the last site that we visited before we crossed over back into Russian Federation territory on the other side of the Kerch Bridge into the Krasnodar region eventually. But it was just a wild tour. I mean, you had ancient Greeks living there, Scythians, you name it. There are tons of different people. Tatars, was part of the Golden Horde, then after part of the Russian Federation, the Russian Empire with Catherine the Great. Then back and forth, Khrushchev gave it to Ukrainian SSR. Then it went back now in 2014 to the Russian Federation. But just brilliant trip overall. And one thing remains clear from this is my 3rd trip to that region, my 2nd trip in a month to Crimea. One thing remains clear that the Western propaganda simply doesn't grasp is that there's overwhelming, undeniable support for the Russian Federation, for the special military operation, and everybody is waiting for the victory and continuing to support the troops on the ground. So just great trip. Very, very happy. And we had a great time. So sorry again for missing the stream, but I hope you all are happy that we went, and we have a lot of great content that's going to come out about this trip.
I'm excited for the content. All right. So we got the white pill out of the way. So now let's get to the black pill. So we're in the aftermath. We are in the aftermath of, I don't even know what's happening. I mean, some people are calling it, let's just talk about it. All right. So post Bondi Beach, the whole thing is just a trough for opportunists and legislators and privateers and whatnot. And we're going to talk about a bunch of it. They're ramping up surveillance, doxing, talking about armed guards, talking about lifelong punishment for anyone called an anti-Semite. It's the West's fault that they're not protecting their Jews. So let's start first with Leora Rez. Leora Rez was on Fox News this morning. She's ranting and raving and saying that it's not fair that she's being blamed or Jews are being blamed collectively for what Israel is doing. Well, here's Leora Rez at the J-Post conference.
Since that day, we have featured more than 1,000 anti-Semites on our platforms. 1,000. Not theorized about them, not quietly documented them, feature them publicly clearly and with evidence. The results speak for themselves. Approximately 400 of these Jew haters have faced real consequences, including firings, suspensions, and expulsions. This is what accountability looks like. This is what action looks like. If you target Jewish students, your actions will not disappear into the darkness. We will shine a light on you that, thanks to Google and SEO, will follow you for the rest of your life. When you look for a job, when you look for a spouse, when you look for a nanny, when you look for anything, our work will always be documented. Again, thanks to Google and SEO.
You Jew haters will never be able to get married or find a babysitter ever again, thanks to Google and SEO. So we'll be haunted by this Lithuanian for the rest of our lives. It sounds like hell. We live in hell. This woman, anyway, so this woman, she's Leora Rez. Her last name is like Reznikova or something like that. She's born in Kaunas, Lithuania. Her parents fled the Soviet Union because of the rampant state-sponsored anti-Semitism.
You mean anti-Zionism?
Yeah, anti-Zionism. That's probably what it was around that time.
It was.
Yeah, not a Lithuanian. Yeah, right. We're gonna get rid of these people. Oh, it will haunt us for the rest of our lives. But so they emigrated here. They moved to Ohio. She went to Brandeis University, which, as you know, is named after the first Supreme Court justice, first Jewish Supreme Court justice. So it's a Jewish university. She graduated with a bachelor's in science. She started off as like a boss babe under the handle Jewish Chick. She's the founder of Jewish Chick Media. She's like the Erica Kirk of anti-Semitism in a way, I guess.
Looks like it.
So she has developed expertise in digital marketing through her Jewish Chick social media branding and strategic activism. Now she lives in New York. So this is her. Today she came out on Fox News screaming that she is being held responsible, or Jews in the West are being held responsible for what Israel is doing. But I looked up her funding and it all comes from IDF veterans. So like her funding is just Adam Milstein, born in Israel, served in the IDF. So it's like those are her sponsors, are all just ex-IDF soldiers. So sure, okay, Leora, you can haunt Americans for the rest of their lives with IDF money, I guess, Israeli money, and then say, I'm not to blame for all of the things that Israel is doing. Everything is on its head. We talked last week about the menorahs being lit everywhere. It was like the Israelis in the Levant. Now it's like a full-on takeover of the holiday season. Thank God we're in the home stretch of this nonsense. So after this, I talked a little bit about this week about Rabbi Kaplan. He's another foreign-born agent. He's born in Kfar Shabbat, Israel, to a prominent Chabad Lubavitch family. His parents were emissaries to the Lubavitch Rebbe. How do you say Lubavitcher, right? Lubavitcher Rebbe. Do you want to give just a quick what by me saying that and you going, whoa, why would you do whoa?
So the Lubavitch are a branch of the sort of Chabad movement. So this is sort of you could say a branch of Judaism beyond the conservative and Orthodox. Chabad basically have various strains depending on the rabbi and where they come from historically. The Lubavitch, of course, descend is a particular line, and the most recent Lubavitcher Rebbe who passed away is considered by many to be the Messiah.
We're going to talk about him later.
Yes. So, for example, as a big fan of going down to New York and speaking at the United Nations, I would, of course, travel to New York and visit some friends in Brooklyn. And as you travel in like Crown Heights area, where they have their headquarters, by the way, which was rebuilt exactly stone by stone in Israel. Very interesting enough. You got to have a brownstone in Israel. That's the exact replica of I forgot what it's 84 or 90, whatever it is, on Crown Heights. They built the exact same building in Israel, in the desert, so to speak. So the Lubavitcher Rebbe, so everybody has these like yellow flags out with a crown, and basically like the Messiah is coming, Messiah is coming, or whatever the fuck they say. And basically it's a sign. And he would do all these kind of like strange things of, okay, strange, these are rituals, but in any case, he would like take like dollar bills or like things like that, and he kind of like bless them and then give them to people. There's like so many videos on YouTube of this. Politicians went there, diplomats, you name it. You know, just regular people would just go and get like this, like, you know, what they call, you know, lucky money from him, and hope to reproduce it. Kind of strange, but in any case, he was extremely Zionist, very, very pro-Israel.
He was a terrorist.
Yes, exactly.
Most of them.
So that's a little bit background. There are other Chabad sects that are anti-Zionist, by the way, like our friend Rabbi David Weiss, who's an excellent rabbi, and in that Naturi Karti, they're great. They're great for the work that they do. But there are a couple branches, but most of them now are either, you know, kind of centrist, kind of benign, or rabidly Zionist at this point.
So he comes from one of those families. And not only that, he's the grandson of Reb Moshe Zalman Feiglin, who he established Chabad in Australia. This is important. So his grandfather established Chabad in Australia. They are the Chabad Lubavitcher sect, which is the most militant, very dogmatic, very like Armageddon, like apocalyptic, they're very attached to the Mashiach. There, I think that's how you say it. Mashiach. Yep. Baruch Hashem. I'm working on my Baruch Hashem. I got my Allahu Akbar down. I got to get my Baruch Hashem. So he and he's also a grandson of Rabbi Zvi Oster, who founded Beit Midrash in Brooklyn. So he's the grandson of some very important people. He studied at the Chabad yeshivas in Crown Heights, and he received his rabbinic ordination from his uncle. He's a longtime ally of Donald Trump and served as a key surrogate in all of his fundraisers. But what's a rabbi without a scandal? So in 2023, he got sued for having an affair with a woman from his Miami synagogue. And this is 2 years ago. But they settled out of court, so he paid her to be quiet. But anyway, so this wonderful specimen has been named our anti-Semitism envoy. Envoy to anti-Semit. Wait, let me get the actual title. I don't know. Anti-Semit, like envoy for combating anti-Semitism, I believe it is. But he'll tell us. And with the rank of ambassador. Full diplomatic immunity. So he's a representative of the president no matter where he goes. He doesn't need any sort of designation. He is a direct representative of President Trump no matter where he goes.
Diplomatic passport, diplomatic plates, diplomatic protection, diplomatic immunity, everything.
This is an Israeli-born Chabad Lubavitcher dynasty son. So keeping all of that in mind as we watch what he says. So here we go down this rabbit hole. You know, no tinfoil needed. No conspiracy here. This is real. This is really happening.
All real.
I think it's very important for two things. One, I'm going to share with you just an incident in case you think that anti-Semitism isn't alive and well. 2 nights ago, I was at the Waldorf, walking into the Waldorf Hotel, and I was literally accosted by people screaming, "Baby killer, free Gaza, Palestinian, you kill people," and I'm not going to leave. And he's telling the security guard at the Waldorf, "I'm not going to leave until this guy goes into the hotel. He's not going to stand here and be in the street with me." Well, obviously I didn't move, and I think this gentleman did not know who I was, and will be quite sorry shortly that he did that. But it shouldn't be it takes me to have to do something. We have to be better at what we do.
All right. So this never happened, but let's pretend that it did. All right. So we got this poor guy who probably just flew at least first class, if not private, on El Al, I bet. And he's standing outside the Waldorf Astoria, which is what? Like $500 a night for like the worst room on the worst night.
Yeah.
Like, and he's like, oh, you don't know who I am, oy vey. You don't know this guy doesn't know who I am. You better tell this guy who I am. But then he says he'll be sorry for that later on. This was
Like already threatening. Like what's going on?
This was about 10 days ago. This was I think maybe a week ago. So yeah. So this is him kind of. He already knows the appointment's coming. He's been nominated since April. And here he is talking about exactly what this will entail, the powers that will be vested upon him.
The president is sending a very strong message. Think about it. Ironically, I get off a plane. I am the president's representative, and I am walking off with a yarmulke, and I have kosher food, and embassies will have kosher food. It is a game changer. The appointment is a game changer. And it's not about history. It's about education. And how do we educate? Indonesia has 350 million Muslims living in the country. How do we change their textbooks? How do we hold the people in Gaza accountable that if America is paying for UN textbooks and supposedly the changes are made, why are those textbooks not being used, and why are they using their old textbooks? We have to teach people it's not okay to educate your kids to be a martyr. Okay? And we have to hold those countries accountable. How do we battle anti-Semitism on the internet? How are we doing better on algorithms? What companies can we work with? We are going to have a whole division within the office of the Special Envoy to combat anti-Semitism that is going to work on technology and working with the greatest leaders in technology, many of whom are Jewish and have offered their assistance. The office is going to be revamped entirely to be one of the highest profile offices in the State Department, because that's what the secretary wants and that's what the president wants. So we are going to have a very, very strong mandate on education, on protecting people, and how are we able to make a huge difference in combating what goes on.
So full ambassadorial powers. Every embassy will have kosher food for David. They're calling him David Cross, and he's much worse than David Cross. I'd rather him just be David Cross. But full, and then he talks about what they're going to do with the internet. But I think the most important part of that clip is school books.
Yep.
Because Ron Lauder has been talking about American school books, and here he is. He's not anything. He's not an NGO. He's not in the UN. He's not with UNICEF. He's not with the Department of Education. He's just an envoy to combat anti-Semitism. And he's being granted powers sweeping enough to where he thinks or he plans on changing the textbooks in Indonesia.
Oh
That's some
so
crazy reach.
That is so crazy.
That's some crazy reach.
And also, think about this. Think about, we've been talking for a while about historical revisionism and how important it is to combat it. And they're actively doing it in real time and nobody's saying a word.
Yep. Nobody's saying anything. It's
Nothing.
wild. It's wild. I'm almost grateful that you guys weren't really readily available this week, because this week has been the most subversive, disgusting week I think I've seen in American politics in my life. We're not even going to really talk about the Epstein debacle.
We'll get to that maybe on Wednesday, but it is
the subversion of the American people, the gaslighting, and we are a American Christian nation while we watch everything being just completely subverted. Our morals, our holiday, our culture, every little thing. And it's all been done this week in one, like very, very condensed. You can look at this week and it's been like, fuck your Christmas, fuck your customs, fuck your ethnicities, fuck your culture, fuck it all, fuck you, we're doing whatever we want. And they continue with this. And that's why I covered Professor Zhang last night, because he covers the more eschatological side. And I don't like to really pull that in too much onto the show, because I like to be a little bit more grounded. But there's a part of that too. I mean, I've already re-listened to this, my own space. That's how good I thought it was. I would suggest you listen to it and maybe watch Professor Zhang. But the eschatological, and he keeps it simple. That's why I liked it. I'm not very intelligent when it comes to philosophical and religious matters, so I really like that he keeps it very simple. But yeah, there's this keeping it all like holistically in mind. It just gets scarier and scarier, and it's just getting it's just really bad. It's bad. So okay, so this is post Bondi. I believe that the two clips that I played were pre-Bondi massacre. This is post-Bondi massacre. This is his reaction on Fox News.
Rabbi Yehuda Kaplan is the incoming White House special envoy to monitor and combat anti-Semitism. Rabbi, your reaction to what's taken place and what we now know 48 hours later.
Good morning, Brian. First of all, shocked and saddened. Secondly, the inaction of government when people have been told that there were threats and to do nothing about it is terrible. And immediately upon being nominated by the president, the Australian Jewish community contacted me with their fears and concerns, and these were meetings that we had and spoke to the government at that time. Anti-Semitism is rampant, and if it's not condemned and immediately by the highest levels, people think they have a right to continue with that. And we're seeing, unfortunately, tragic results where if you see the people who have been killed, a 10-year-old girl, a Holocaust survivor who died protecting his wife, a rabbi who just 2 months ago named his child at a circumcision ceremony. It's horrific. And a lot of it is due to government inaction and willingness to condemn the rhetoric and what's been going on to allow this rampant rise in anti-Semitism. Governments have to do a better job, and that's why I applaud what the President and the Secretary of State are doing in trying to vet everybody coming in, that you don't come into the country if these are your leanings to hurt and maim any segment of society. But for me, particularly, the fact that it's a Jewish society and anti-Semitism is, rampant. We have to be able to do a better job, and the President and the Secretary are making it very clear that here in this country, in particular in America, that these are the standards that countries should learn from. This is what we need to do to better protect the Jewish community and the community at large.
I mean, it's not an accident this stuff happens on holidays.
Things to unpack in that clip. Why the hell are the Australian Jews calling the envoy in America? Right, because he's a Chabadnik with all ties to Australia. He's completely intertwined. He also says we're basically going to be the template for what all the other governments are doing. There's also the elevation of Jews above the rest of the community. You're gonna see more proof of this, but it's incredible. It's this like sort of, you have the religious side that already buys the chosen people, and now on the secular side, you're getting this. We're a very special minority that sort of needs special protections, and it's like you have I'm gonna get us banned from YouTube as well.
And not only that. I mean, they're talking about, like you saw this week, they're talking about armed groups.
Oh, did you spoiler alert?
Oh, sorry. It's fucking crazy. I'm going nuts. My mind's melting.
We're gonna do a little bit of a history thing, and I want you're gonna jump in on it. I know you are. So we're gonna do a little bit of throwback. So this will be the last clip of Kaplan for a while. So let's just bear with me. This is the latest clip of him. I think this was the day he got appointed by the Senate.
My mission is to ensure that the United States is not just a safe haven for Jewish life, but a force that defends the Jewish community around the world. It requires many of the things that you're involved with at Tzedek. It requires speaking the truth to power, to build coalitions, to work across nations, and to confront hate wherever hate appears. whether it is from the far left, whether it is from the far right, radical ideologies that cloak themselves either in religion or in politics. In fact, as the president himself has stated, we have to protect every Jew worldwide.
He had me in the first half because he goes, this country needs to protect the Jewish community. And not only that, I was like, oh, the whole community? And it's like the Jewish community worldwide. I was like, oh. So now Americans are responsible for all the Jews.
You didn't know.
Right. We got to create something that's going to protect all the Jews worldwide. All of them.
That's it. It's over.
All right. Over. So, yep, exactly that. So, I mean, you guys know, and we've showed clips of Bibi and other officials post Bondi saying, this is your fault. We told you this was going to happen. We repeatedly warned you that this was going to happen, yada, yada, yada. Well, here's Bibi really quickly.
Just imagine if you had on that beach, on that Hanukkah gathering, if you had several armed people, several armed guards, 10, 15, even 5, it would be over. That's what we've seen time and again in Israel, time and again. And that saves the day. And I think that's required right now. The world has changed. Recognize the change.
The only thing that can stop a maniacal terrorist with a gun is a maniacal group of Jews with guns. This is great. We should all just be caught in the crossfire of all of these maniacs. This sounds like a great idea, right? Incredible. Not to mention, we already did this once. We had the JDL. Yes. We had the Jewish Defense League. They had to be labeled as terrorists, which go back to what we were talking about earlier. It's Rabbi Meir Kahane.
Oh, yeah, of course. Of course.
So their stated purpose was to protect Jews from anti-Semitism by all means necessary within the borders of the United States and the West. So
do you see how they appropriate language from both the left and the right that very conveniently? So by any means, by all means necessary, by any means necessary was like from the Black Power movement, Malcolm X, this. And in 1968, the JDL uses this language too. And also you just heard Netanyahu's speech. And there was language that was very much akin to, if we just arm teachers and, school bodies and, all these mass shootings at schools won't happen. Like basically just arm everybody and they'll neutralize the threat. Basically to militarize the whole society and to basically make it one giant militia.
I mean,
there we go.
Never again was sort of like one of their kind of rallying cries, which I mean, that's normal. That's to be expected. So obviously it was founded by the rabbi, who you guys should all know. And then I believe his wife or the wife of his partner took over or something like that. But they got, he was declared a terrorist in Israel. That's how insane he is. His party was banned. And then I believe they were declared terrorists here. Over 15 terrorist incidents by the JDL from 1980 to 1985, bombing of people's offices, mail bombings, tons of threats to bomb mosques, just all kinds of havoc. And that's pretty much what they want to do again. Here's a short video I found on the JDL for those of you guys who don't know what it is.
Comprised mostly of modern Orthodoxy's lost boys.
I think it's very important for two things. One, I'm going to share.
Comprised mostly of modern Orthodoxy's lost boys who love the Jewish people. They sort of acted as a vigilante group, and eventually they move into the realm of political shenanigans. So things like arms smuggling. They move on to attacking Arab diplomatic missions to the UN. They were very anti-Soviet. They bombed properties owned by Soviet diplomats. The FBI lists the JDL as an official terrorist organization. The FBI credits at least 37 terrorist attacks to JDL members. The United States Central Intelligence recorded 50 such incidents from 1968 to 1987, making the JDL second only to the Puerto Rican FALM as a major domestic terrorist group. Bombings accounted for 78% of all JDL terrorist activities, shooting and accounting for 16%, while arson attacks, vandalism, kidnapping threats, and verbal harassment accounted for the rest. So some of the things that they've done, and here are some examples of terror attacks accredited to the JDL. So in San Francisco in 1981, they bombed a San Francisco branch of the Iranian bank Melli. They bombed the Iraq UN mission on April 28th, 1982. The JDL planted a bomb in the office of this one is really strange. So they planted a bomb in the office of a impresario, a ballet person, right? Those are people who do ballet instructions or whatever. So this guy was a Soviet, he managed a Soviet Union ballet company or whatever. I think the big one was on October 11th, 1985, the Los Angeles offices of the Arab American Anti-Discrimination Committee was bombed, killing the director, Alex O'Day.
Yeah, we should do this again. This sounds like a good idea. United States of Amnesia, anybody?
Yep, we're back.
And not only that, I found out they're already doing it. So it doesn't even matter. So I went and I started researching. So I looked into Israel Hayom. Now, guys, we talked about it before. Israel Hayom belongs to Miriam Adelson. It is Israel's #1 daily newspaper. Now, yes, this is an op-ed, but you should even pay attention to the op-eds in Israel. So take a look. Jewish communities often stand alone on the front line. The language is important. The front line of what?
Exactly.
Of what are you talking about? You made the front line. Like, that's your line in the sand you're standing at. Without a coordinated Jewish defense structure and without a rapid professional response. Yeah, you literally have the 911 like everybody else does. Like, this is why a new move is required. Establishing a Jewish People's Guard, not a local organization, not a security company, and not a temporary initiative, but a permanent global structure that creates an international Jewish safety net to connect communities around the world with the state of Israel and official security bodies, enabling rapid emergency responses this is also interesting, identifying incitement processes before they turn violent.
Oh, Minority Report?
Yeah. It would create a global alert mechanism, provide unified protocols, and build an efficient defense capability, working in full coordination with key allies, and especially the U.S. So it sounds like it'll probably be headed in Israel with direct coordination of the U.S. Now, we know that they're probably going to go after Australia as hard as possible. So I went and I looked through Australia. Now, this is a really great article I found. Now, if you look, there's already a local Jewish group called the CSG, the Community Service Group. There's no Jew or anything designation in the name, but it is a Jewish Defense League, for a lack of a better name. They want to give them more arms, okay? This is the Chris Minns is the NSW, or the New South Wales Premier. So he revealed that the government is in talks with the CSG about allowing them to carry weapons to Jewish events in particular. The CSG was already permitted to be armed at Jewish places of worship and Jewish schools. Already following Bondi, the government has given $900,000 to the CSG.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Already?
Now, you guys keep in mind, this isn't America. This is Australia, a very non-militarized society. There's not guns everywhere, but the Jews have snipers at their schools and their churches, while everybody else is just left to their own defenses. So in this article, it talks about what the CSGs are. Their mission is to, quote, protect Jewish life and the Jewish way of life in our local community. Insiders say they've been operating underground since at least the 1950s. It was founded by a Holocaust survivor who received CIA and Mossad training. Then there was this interesting case, which was, wow, good for the Australian government. But the Australian government investigated this guy who was training in Israel with the CSG. They revoked his security clearance and said because the reasoning was he was more loyal to Israel than to Australia. Wow, the United States could learn a thing or two from this.
Fancy that. That.
So these people are already armed and empowered in Australia. And as the rabbi said, they called him immediately following the Bondi attack. So I'm sure that those are the groups that are in contact with our new anti-Semitism envoy. So it's a very large, like kind of, it'll probably be a Five Eyes sort of network.
Yeah, exactly. I assume Five Eyes is an extended network.
Yeah, and I think that, so in Britain, I did notice, and I didn't really look into it too much, but if my Brits are here, maybe chime in, but there, during Hanukkah, now again, another non-militarized and not a gun-carrying society, the government permitted armed escorts for people going to and from Jewish functions during Hanukkah. So that's basically the same thing.
Wow.
That's just like a Jewish Defense League in like everything but name.
Correct.
So it just looks like this is going to just become a thing.
And
yeah, go ahead.
I wonder if you're going to see a proliferation of private sort of military companies, sort of like PMCs, and basically they are going to operate in kind of a legal gray zone kind of way, and then get a lot of financing for that stuff because they're basically like mercenaries. They're guns for hire.
Exactly. That's
know?
exactly what they are. But they're trying to use government funding. So if you look, one of our
for sure,
viewers, he says that the schools are guarded by police that are paid by the government, and that's how it is in Australia as well. Obviously, they just gave him $900,000. So got money for war, but can't feed the poor.
You know, it's true. It couldn't be more true today.
I know, it's so ridiculous. Okay, so here is Bibi following the Bondi. I'm not going to play. You guys have seen the video so many times. He just says, we've warned you. We've told you so many times. We said this was coming. Well, watch this clip of Max Blumenthal from February 2024, almost 2 years ago.
We talked earlier about how anti-Semitism often is either faked or exploited in order to advance Israeli objectives and to justify Israel's existence as a supposed sanctuary for the Jewish people. There's a fascinating investigation taking place in Australia. Australian police are investigating whether, quote, overseas actors or individuals are paying local criminals to carry out anti-Semitic crimes in the country. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese says anti-Semitic attacks are being, this is his words, perpetrated by people who don't have a particular issue, aren't motivated by an ideology, but are paid actors. He added, quote, it's unclear who or where the payments are coming from. The shadow Home Office minister from the opposition party wonders if, quote, a foreign government is engaging in state-sponsored terror. Well, it reminded me of something that happened at the dawn of the first Trump administration. There were thousands of phone calls and bomb threats to Jewish American institutions like community centers, synagogues. And it turned out, after this whole freak out where the Senate was putting pressure on Trump to condemn this and claiming that because of Trump, there's a rise in anti-Semitism and Jews are in peril because of Trump, it turned out that it was an Israeli teen who is a U.S. dual citizen in Israel who was making those bomb threats. An Israeli-American teenager was found guilty in Israel on Thursday of making about 2,000 hoax bomb threats against Jewish and other institutions in the U.S. during Donald Trump's rise.
What are we doing here?
Oh my God.
We're like changing our entire like way of life for something that they're doing to themselves, most likely. And I'm not saying that Bondi was something that like Jews perpetrated. I'm saying that they create the environment required. They create the material conditions for these things to happen. I mean, look at Bondi. You have a random, they're saying radicalized, it's Indian man. So the dad's fully Indian Muslim man, and how hard it is to get a gun. And when you get a gun in Australia, you're basically surrendering your rights. The police can come to your home at any time if they want to see the gun, they want to see your bullets, they want to see how you storm, any of it. And you can't have more than 6. And it's very difficult to get any more than the 1. The guy had 6.
That's so wild.
Like, and I don't believe that Australia like just allowed that to happen. I'm not going to buy that. There's some sort of a condition that was created to allow this guy to get his hands onto these guns. period. And even the Australian government, and Albanese always does this. He kind of plays an idiot. Maybe he is an idiot, but he kind of does that. I don't know. He's like, where could they be coming from? I don't know. These kids don't even have any ideology. Somebody's just paying them. We just don't know. It's just like, well, who could it be? And then that leaves it open for Israel to go, it's Iran.
Yep, of course, classic. You know what's gonna happen. We all know what's gonna happen.
Exactly. So don't say we didn't warn you.
Oh, we
Okay.
did.
So, well, now we had another admission this week. I'm going to play because I want Chris's reaction. But Trump has once again admitted that he is the first Jewish president, which I would argue that it was probably LBJ, but here's Trump.
Well, okay.
Mark Levin.
They hate Israel. They hate Israel. And if you would have told me 15 years ago that that was possible, Jason, I would have said, there's no way. There's no way that's possible. But it's happening. And obviously it's getting progressively worse. Less so in the Senate, but the Senate's starting also. You get glimmers, when I'm in the back rooms talking to people, you get glimmers of statements that you say, whoa, where did that come from? So we have to be, Sid, we have to be very careful because bad things are happening. And then you see what goes on in Australia or October 7th. How about October 7th? And then you have people that deny it ever happened.
That was the wrong video, but it doesn't matter. You guys have all seen the Jew video. That video is important because we're starting to equate Holocaust denial with October 7th denial.
Of course.
So
I mean,
if denying the Holocaust is anti-Semitism and anti-Semitism gets you on the list or haunted for the rest of your life, and October 7th is the same as the Holocaust, denying or questioning October 7th will eventually get you haunted for the rest of your life. Do you see where we're going?
And what's the denial that they're going to try to squash finally?
What?
No, for October 7th. What are they so afraid of talking about for that day in particular?
The Samson option?
The Hannibal one, right?
Oh, yeah, the Hannibal one. Sorry, Hannibal directive.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, man, if they were doing the Samson one, we might not be here right now. Forget about drones.
At this point.
At that point, fuck it, But they don't want to talk about the Hannibal doctrine and ultimately the mass killing of Israeli civilians by the IDF.
No, they have to hide all of it.
It happened. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to the true believers out there. It happened. Accept it.
This next clip is also a subversion, and we'll talk about why after, but this is the one that was like, I got chills when I watched this clip.
Miriam Adelson, you want to come up, Miriam? Come up here, Miriam. Miriam gave my campaign indirectly and directly $250 million. She was number one. When somebody can give you $250 million, I think that we should give her the opportunity to say hello. And Miriam, make it quick, because $250 million is not what it used to be. Okay? Hello, darling. Come in. Incredible woman with a great husband, a man that loved Israel.
Well, Mr. President, when you were in the Israeli parliament and you gave a speech and you saw me from far away, at that time I came with a scooter to the parliament just to hear you. I wanted to hear you alive. And then you said, Miriam Adelson, and I stood for a second, but it was so painful, so I sat. Then you screamed, Miriam, stand up! And I wish you would have known, but I stood up and heard all your compliment, and thank you very much.
I saw you back there standing.
Yeah, you saw me.
She stood
Thank
up
you.
bravely.
And now I met Alan Dershowitz, and he said the legal thing about 4 more years, and I said, Alan, I agree with you, so we can do it. Think about it.
Alan's
and I
here
would be,
someplace. Where's Alan?
Alan is here, or he had a flight? Alan is here? Think about it.
Thank you.
Maybe I will be the first one who told you, or second. Yeah.
She said, think about it, I'll give you another 250.
I will give.
But her husband, Sheldon, was an amazing guy, and he'd come up to the office, and there was nobody more aggressive than Sheldon. I think I spent more time with him and you, because you usually came up together, but he'd call and say, can I come over, please? I say, Sheldon, I'm president of the United States. It doesn't work that way anymore. It's like maybe tomorrow. How about tomorrow? No, please, just for a little while. And I would, he'd always say 10 minutes. It turned out to be about an hour and a half, right? And what he did is he fought for Israel. That's all he really fought for. He just wanted to take care of. He just wanted to take care of Israel. So he was a great guy. He was a fantastic man, and he loved you so much he couldn't see straight. So good. Thank you, darling. Be careful.
Am I like screaming underwater? Like you have Jeffrey Epstein's partner in crime and lawyer at the party that's talking about like manipulating our constitution so Trump can run for a third term. With,
You know that
with an Israeli woman who's giving you $500 million.
you know that room where it's made to not have any sound and you kind of go crazy because you can't even hear sound?
Yeah.
I
The
feel
sound
like
deprivation room or
Yeah,
sensory deprivation.
we're in a sound deprivation room right now. And I don't know. It's like it's speechless. Like first and foremost, 4 more years. What are they planning on doing? Are they planning on subverting the Constitution, going for a constitutional amendment? Like, what's the plan? Number one, to get rid of the amendment to the Constitution that says only 2-term maximum, which was done after FDR. So, okay, they could do that. I really think that they really believe that Trump is like Cyrus the Great, whatever the hell, and they're leaning into that hardcore, and they want him. They basically, I mean, they'll eventually just put him up on the throne like they did Constantine when he's dead and say he's still alive and dictate. Yeah, it happened in history.
Well, what's interesting is that if you look at Cyrus from a geopolitical perspective and not the religious biblical perspective, geopolitically, he was just creating a proxy state. That's all that the Jews are. It's just that's all that Israel is a proxy state.
They have it.
And so in that sense, Trump is King Cyrus. If you look, I mean, they're not really a proxy state in that sense. They're kind of just one. But Cyrus created the Jews and Israel he created, what was it called back then? Yehud, the land of Yehud, something like that. Then you had the land beyond the river back in the day. It's not all like God and magic.
No, come on.
Too bad we didn't live back then. We would have had much more fun and geopolitically analyzing the situation of God telling Cyrus to send the Jews, let my people go back to Israel.
We'd be writing in cuneiform and kind of figuring out how to, how many lines going in which direction? What are these triangles? That would be us.
Yes, exactly. So this also ties into Pax Judaica. So there's the theological and eschatological side of this theory says that there is the secret societies or whatever you want to call them want to complete the sort of full circle of the temple, and that the new temple will all roads lead to Jerusalem, and that the new temple will obviously be rebuilt, but this temple will be based around tech or AI. Or something of that nature. So that's why I'm going to show you Project Sunrise. So this is actually really happening. This isn't wee woo. I just gave you the wee woo to say this creeped me out a little bit because this came out after I dove into the wee woo. So this came out the other day. Now, how do I add? There we go. This is Project Sunrise. So Project Sunrise is this new project coming from Ivanka's twink and Trump's real estate agent. So Steve Witkoff and Kushner. I mean, these guys are so busy. They have their hands in literally every single cookie jar.
And everything.
Exactly.
Which makes you wonder about conflict of interest and self-enrichment and insider trading and all that stuff. But who are we to say anything about that? We're just simple journalists / podcasters. What do we know?
Yeah. So this is the plan to turn the devastation of Gaza into some sort of, they're calling it a high-tech paradise. Looks to me like some sort of dystopia. So Project Sunrise is a 32-page PowerPoint drafted by Kushner and Witkoff with White House input and Israeli consultations. And it was leaked to be a Wall Street Journal, which they do this a lot. So, I mean, they did this with the last plan. They kind of leak them and let them kind of flow and kind of see what works and who's going to bite and what investors are interested in, that kind of thing. But this is the general overall idea. Go ahead, Chris.
No, I think that you're absolutely right. I mean, we're talking once again about a business strategy to handle and solve a deep-rooted historical, cultural, ultimately something very human in terms of international law crisis and diplomatic affair, and everybody wants to handle it like they're businessmen. Exactly. All right, throw money at the problem, throw investment at the problem, throw development at the problem. It's going to solve itself. It won't solve itself. No amount of money will solve this problem unless you address the root causes, much like Putin says about Ukraine. That's just it.
Exactly. So there's a little bit more about it. It's planning on costing the United States a total of $110 billion over 10 years, with the U.S. Anchoring at least 20% of that. They've shopped it to Turkey and Egypt. I think Egypt has bitten but hasn't committed. And I believe that the UAE will literally just throw money at Israel. They really don't even.
For sure.
Think twice about it.
There's no question about that.
Yeah. So what's interesting is that, and we'll keep scrolling through this, here's the executive summary. You guys can look through that. Here is the master plan. So the master plan is that the place gets developed in phases, and they're sort of making redevelopment like a reward. If you guys clean up your area and get it under control, we'll come in there and we'll rebuild it. So the first place that's going to be redone is Gaza or Rafah. It's going to be called New Rafah, and they are moving the entire capital there. So the capital, Gaza/Palestine, or whatever this place is to be, will be Rafah. No more Gaza City.
Wow.
So,
big, very big deal, and an arbitrary decision that I think would have ramifications for the people and actually might be looked at international law as a violation of the people's sovereignty and territorial integrity. I have no idea, but that's my hunch.
Exactly. And just like, look at some of the plans: 100,000 permanent housing units, 200 schools, 75 medical clinics, 180 mosques, 4 billion in blah 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 blah. When's the last time they even did that here? What the hell? What you think? Have you looked at Iraq lately?
I know. Come on.
What are you talking about? So they're also discussing on what the hell to do with the Palestinians. They still have no idea. So that's
no idea. Where are you going to move over 1 million, 2 million people?
Mark Levin said Jordan.
Who's going to pay for all the flights?
They'll walk, I guess.
Or they're going to go across. They're going to go across the desert like they did in Nakba.
They're going to go across the desert like they did the Nakba.
These guys are so out to lunch.
Well, I mean, I don't know why that's another thing. I don't know why Putin allows this charade to continue to go on in Russia. Why are they going over to Russia? This is disgusting. They shouldn't. It's just, the whole thing is just disgusting.
I know.
Really gross. But I do want to play at least one funny thing, an update. Here's Lukashenko.
We love him. National president.
Yeah. So I put it in because I was like, I had to at least make people laugh a little bit, because this is a heavy episode. But here's a really great clip of Luka.
Перейдем к Китаю. Я знаю, что вы знаете лидера Си очень хорошо.
Но я же вам сказал, что у меня есть родственник, старший брат Владимир Путин, и мой друг Си Цзиньпин, с которым мы с давних пор друзья.
What's he like? What's President Xi like? Какой он человек?
Он китаец.
What does that mean? Что это значит?
Это значит, что он умный, аккуратный, спокойный до невозможности, как все китайцы. Это их особенность. Они никуда не торопятся. Это умные люди, цивилизация древнейшая, которые понимают, рано или поздно проблема, которая существует, должна быть разрешена. Они считают, что ускорять этот процесс бесполезно. Можем нарваться на неприятности.
Они тихо, спокойно делают свое дело.
I love that. What's he like? He's Chinese.
He's Chinese. What?
Do I need to explain any further? It means he's smart, he's precise. But what's really great is that he just rips the United States apart. And here's the better clip.
Yeah.
Я первый раз приехал в Китай больше 30 лет назад. Я тогда заметил, что за Китаем большое будущее. И будучи депутатом, кадры есть, я приехал и сказал в парламенте, нам надо выстраивать отношения с китайским государством. Там большое будущее. Ну, американцы тогда, знаете, не очень с нами дружили и дружить не хотели. Европейцы тоже пытались меня запутать разного рода демократией там и так далее. Но я видел экономику прежде всего. И я видел, что Китай будет развиваться. Прошло 25-30 лет. Китай выбивается в лидеры. Он даже насторожил вас. Вы пытаетесь сдержать развитие Китая. Здесь был Помпео в свое время. Потом Болтон при Трампе в первом сроке. Я их убеждал, что Китай остановить сегодня невозможно. Вы потеряли как минимум 20 лет для того, чтобы сдержать Китай. Китай сегодня никто не в состоянии сдержать. Особенно с той философией, которая у китайцев в голове.
He goes on and he says, they have a revolution every year. Every year I go back there, I don't even recognize the place.
It's true. I lived there for 2 years. I mean, a building would go up when I was on vacation.
But this was the theme this week, and I won't play, excuse me, Putin's parts, but Putin talked about it too. It's a lot of this cutting off your nose to spite your face. The hubris of the Americans has set them back in time, and he's saying, now you can't contain China. China's a whale. You want to stop China?
China's on the move. You know,
China's
I know.
China's on the move. And while the West is degrading. So I will play this wonderful clip from Putin about the West, and then I think we'll wrap after that.
Mm-hmm.
В том числе и вооруженным. А как же? Поддержка сепаратизма и терроризма. Говорил уже об этом, тем не менее, не лишним, мне кажется, будет и повторить. Сразу же после развала Советского Союза, а тогда нам казалось, что мы очень быстро станем членами так называемой цивилизованной семьи европейских народов, вообще цивилизованной западной семьи. Сегодня выясняется, что никакой цивилизации там нет, там только деградация все сплошная. Но неважно, тогда казалось, что это хорошо, и вот мы станем именно равноправной частью этой семьи. Ничего подобного не произошло. Вы понимаете, в чем дело-то? Ничего подобного. Мы не стали никакой равноправной частью этой семьи. Нет, напротив. Россию продолжали поддавливать со всех сторон. И более того, все сильнее и сильнее. Практически все решалось в отношении России с позиции силы. Хлопали по плечу, приглашали на разные мероприятия. Но свои интересы на российском направлении Запад продавливал именно силовым способом.
Again, it's this sort of pride, hubris. We thought we were going to be welcomed into this family. You broke up our country. This is what you wanted. And no, we were still met with force. In our faces, you were nice. You invited us to the stupid events. And then behind us, you stabbed us in the back and used force.
Yep.
And now we think sending Kushner, Witkoff, and Larry Fink is going to find peace with the Russians?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so
either.
I don't think so. And I think that the main thing to understand is Russia's here to stay. Nobody's going to bully it, just like China is in the same place right now. And, you know, these talks serve a purpose. Russian troops continue to advance. Ukraine doesn't have as much funding and arming as it used to. And it means that at some point there's going to be a collapse of the front and soldiers are going to push hard into the territory that needs to be liberated.
Really quickly, what do you think about this? I think it was this week, pretty sure. Bibi Netanyahu came out of nowhere and was like, I talk to Putin all the time. We're very close. I think that was that wasn't like, I don't take that at face value. Like, oh yeah, they talk all the time. Why did he say that? Why do you think he said that right then?
I think it's a form of disinformation as well. And of course, poisoning the well. We also saw that South Korea said that there's some talks going on about nuclear issues in the north. And Maria Zakharova said this is, again, disinformation, trying to put a wedge between the DPRK and Russian Federation, especially now they have this brotherly relationship and DPRK soldiers were fighting in Kursk. I think that Netanyahu, I mean, yes, they talk a lot, but it's very business oriented, very much about the, millions of, Russian Jews who are there, not to mention the political situation. Russia maintains very good ties with most Arab states, goes back to Soviet times. So I think that he says it as a way to kind of also throw out the, who's going to hold him accountable for what he says when the kind of trimmings are all accurate in a way. So I just think that he's able to blurt out and say what he wants as a way to kind of get us talking about this stuff.
Yeah.
Even though his ministers or deputies in their Knesset said that we're coming after Putin and we're going to keep supporting Ukraine. So I think you have your answer.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and even recently, Jewish officials came out and said, again, guys, sorry with the wee-woo, but that Gog and Magog were Russia and Iran. And so it's like they think that Russia and Iran will team up together to go to war against Israel, to kind of start the Great War. Interestingly, now coming back to real life, is that Bibi is on his way to Washington, D.C. in 7 days, and he will spend the end of the year here. He has to get one more trip in before the year. 5 trips this year. 5.
Yeah.
20, so he'll be here from the 28th to the 31st. And rumor on the street is that he will be discussing bombing Iran's ballistic missile program.
It looks all roads are leading back to war there.
So whether you're a wee-woo person or you're a put my feet on the ground type person or you're a middle of the road person, there's a storyline for all of you, but all roads lead back to Jerusalem.
Yep. Get ready. Get ready.
And somebody had the audacity to accuse Lukashenko of being anti-Semitic this week. So this is what he said.
Слушайте, нас упрекают в том, что мы гнобили евреев. Да в Беларуси, например, половина правительства евреев. Где мы кого-то гнобим?
Everybody thought he was serious. They don't understand that Vodka's always like joking. They were like, oh my God, half the Belarusian government. She was like, no, he's kidding. It's like a joke.
He's totally kidding. Oh, it's hilarious.
Politics. Anyway, let's get to the super chats. The Talmudic Jew by August Rolling is banned for good reason. It's a creepy, weird book. But I think that Candace Owens is off and rolling on that. I do, however, highly cannot recommend enough The Culture of Critique. If you're an American, don't read it if you're not. It's a very long book to read. If you're a British person, an Anglo, but The Culture of Critique by Dr. Kevin McDonald. If you go to antelopehillpublishing.com and use the coupon code PFBC, you'll get some off. But incredible book about that kind of stuff and realistic with sourcing. I really don't like to assume how people feel or how people think. I want real deal stuff. But the Talmudic Jew, even the cover freaks me out. Any recorded manifestos, we know nothing about the shooters. Nothing. They're Indian and Italian. That's it. I don't know why we had to get roped into this. This is anti-Italian discrimination, and I don't know what these Israelis are up to, but I'm going to find out. They probably have something up with Georgia or something. I want to put this on a T-shirt. MAGA means Miriam Adelson's goals achieved. I want that. I think we should make that.
That'd be wild.
Because I really like it. Okay. On the last day of Hanukkah, my greatest ally gave to me armed militias, predictive AI drones, another war, and a giant menorah. Happy Hanukkah. And happy Hanukkah to all of you. It is the last night. We have made it. The sun is going down. We're all still alive. Think we can maybe let out a deep breath, but make sure that no more menorahs on the churches, please. Can we stop that? Don't put menorahs on your churches.
Yeah, it's come on, please. What is this?
Australia's got menorahs being projected on their churches, and Germany has stripper poles in their churches. So, I mean, maybe Putin's right. There is no civilization left here, just degradation. But either way, we will try to see you on Wednesday. I hope that the guys will be with us. Who knows? They're all over.
I'll be here. Let's go.
Other than that, we'll see you guys on the interwebs. Stay safe, and we will see you on Christmas Eve. Well, my Christmas Eve, not Chris's Christmas Eve. Have a good one. And let me all right. Bye, guys.
Take care.